Princeton, Texas isn't the kind of place you'd expect to find murder. It's one of those sleepy towns where everybody knows everybody, and the biggest excitement is usually the high school football game on Friday nights. But on September 20th, 2017, all that changed. The day Kelli Underwood's body was found, it shook this quiet community to its core. Kelli Underwood's life was marked by both hardship and determination. Born and raised in Mesquite, Texas, she faced numerous challenges throughout her years. Kelli married young, hoping to build a happy life, but her first marriage ended in divorce. Undeterred, she tried again, only to see her second marriage also crumble. Left alone to raise 3 children, Kelli faced the daunting task of single motherhood with courage. As if the emotional toll of failed relationships and the stress of single parenthood weren't enough, Kelli received devastating news in 2001. She was diagnosed with a brain tumor, a health crisis that would have broken many. But Kelli was not one to give up easily. She underwent surgery to remove the tumor, a procedure that left her partially paralyzed and battling depression. Yet even in the face of these physical and emotional challenges, Kelli persevered. Those who knew Kelli often spoke of her radiant smile, a smile that could light up a room. But behind that smile, Kelli was carrying a heavy load, the kind that wears you down, bit by bit, until you're just barely hanging on. She'd moved to Princeton looking for a fresh start, and for a while there, it looked like things might be turning around for her. It was a chance to leave behind the painful memories of her past and build a better future for herself and her children. See, Kelli had this friend from high school, Tiffany Wellborn. When Kelli came to Princeton, Tiffany and her husband Ronnie took her in and gave her a place to stay. Ronnie even gave her a job at his manufacturing company. Started her off as a welder, but Kelli, she worked her way up to an office job before too long. For Kelli, this seemed like the fresh start she had been longing for. She had a roof over her head, a steady job, and the support of friends. It appeared that her luck was finally turning around. Little did she know that this new chapter in her life would lead to a tragic end. Now, Ronnie Wellborn, he was a piece of work. On the surface, he looked like your typical small-town business owner, married, successful, respected in the community. But underneath, well, that's where things get complicated. Somewhere along the line, Kelli and Ronnie started getting close, too close. Before anyone knew it, they were in an affair that had been going on for years. She and Ronnie became close, and when he and Tiffany divorced, she provided a shoulder for him to lean on. Kelli, she probably thought she had finally found someone who could give her the stability she'd been craving. But Ronnie, he was playing a dangerous game, and Kelli was just a pawn. Enter Katie Robinson, a 28-year-old woman who caught Ronnie's eye. Despite being married and involved with Kelli, Ronnie began a relationship with Katie. This new affair added a volatile element to an already complicated situation. Katie soon became pregnant with Ronnie's child and moved in with him. At this point, Kelli Underwood decided to make peace with the situation and ended her romantic involvement with Ronnie. However, she maintained a friendship with him and continued to work for him. The turning point came when Katie became pregnant with Ronnie's child. Suddenly, the stakes were higher. This led to a confrontation about a week before Kelli's murder, when Katie and Kelli had a heated argument in Kelli's front yard after Katie saw Ronnie's truck parked outside Kelli's home. Katie, learning about Ronnie's long-standing affair with Kelli, was not content to be just another woman in Ronnie's life. She wanted Kelli out of the picture permanently. September 20th, 2017. That's a date Kate and Graham won't ever forget. She hadn't heard from her mom in days, which wasn't like Kelli at all. So Kaden decided to swing by the house just to check things out. As she pulled up, she knew something was off. The house was quiet, too quiet. Kaden called out for her mom, but got nothing back. She made her way through the house, dreading the building with every step. And then she saw her, Kelli, lying there on the floor, blood on her head, not moving. Caden's world came crashing down at that moment. The 911 call Caden made was heartbreaking, the kind of raw pain you can't fake. By the time the cops showed up, it was already too late. Kelli Underwood was gone, and Princeton had its first murder in over 20 years. Now, Princeton PD They weren't exactly equipped to handle a homicide investigation. Small town, small police force, you know how it goes. So they called in the Texas Rangers. The medical examiner's report, it was a brutal reading. Kelli had been dead for days, killed sometime between September 16th and the early morning hours of September 17th. Multiple gunshot wounds, multiple stab wounds, the murder weapon, a .22 caliber firearm. But here's the thing that really got to investigators. The scratches and blood under Kelli's nails. She'd fought right to the end. As the Rangers started digging, they uncovered a whole mess of secrets. Kelli's affair with Ronnie Wellborn quickly became the focus of the investigation. But it wasn't just the affair that had people talking. Neighbors reported seeing Kelli with two men at her house not long before she was killed. Security footage backed that up. The breakthrough in the case came from something most of us carry around in our pockets every day: cell phones. As the detectives pored over the records, a disturbing picture started to emerge. It wasn't just a crime of passion or a love triangle gone wrong. This was something far more sinister. A cold-blooded, premeditated murder for hire. The story that came out, it was like something out of a movie. Ronnie Wellborn, 45, and his new girlfriend, Katie Robinson, 28, were the ones pulling the strings. But they didn't get their hands dirty. No, they hired two guys, Robert Veal, 35, and Delvin Powell, 38, to do their dirty work. $8,000. That's what Kelli's life was worth to them. But why? Why go to such lengths to kill Kelli? Well, turns out Ronnie and Katie had just had a baby together. Katie found out about Ronnie's long-standing affair with Kelli, and she wasn't about to let that slide. At first, she wanted to plant drugs on Kelli, get her arrested. When that didn't pan out, she and Ronnie made the decision to have Kelli killed. On the night of September 16th, 2017, the plan was set in motion. Veal and Powell made their way to Kelli's home. Neighbors later reported seeing two men at Kelli's house, a crucial piece of evidence that would later help crack the case. Interestingly, Kelli had hired Veal and Powell to do work at her house, unaware of their connection to Ronnie and Katie or their murderous intentions. The work they were doing included installing a pool, fixing problems with her security cameras, and replacing one of them. This arrangement provided Veal and Powell with easy access to Kelli's home and allowed them to familiarize themselves with the layout and her routines. Neighbors reported seeing Kelli with two men, presumably Veal and Powell, on September 16th, which appeared to be them working at her house. The fact that Kelli had hired her own killers to do work on her own home adds a chilling layer to this already tragic story. It demonstrates how the plot against her was carefully orchestrated to take advantage of her trust and vulnerability. The whole thing, it was like a house of cards. Once one piece fell, the rest came tumbling down. Powell got picked up on an unrelated assault charge, and that's when things really started unraveling. The cops found ammo in his girlfriend's car trunk that matched what was used to kill Kelli. They also found a knife with what looked like blood on it. The trial, when it finally came around in 2019, it was the talk of the town. Callie Bailey, the prosecutor, laid it all out for the jury. The phone records showing the conspiracy, the security footage placing the suspects at the scene, the forensic evidence tying them to the crime. It was damning stuff. In the end, the jury didn't need long to reach a verdict. Guilty, all four of them. Ronnie Wellborn pleaded guilty and will only be eligible for parole in the year 2047. Katie Elizabeth Robinson also pleaded guilty to murder. The prosecution determined that the appropriate result in her case was a plea deal. Robinson was sentenced to 30 years in prison as a part of this plea agreement. She will be eligible for parole in 2032 when she is 43 years old. Veal and Powell, they got life too, without any possibility of parole. They'll spend the rest of their days behind bars, thinking about what they did to Kelli. For people in Princeton, it was like a nightmare they couldn't wake up from. But for Kelli's family, the pain went deeper than just losing her. It was the betrayal that really cut them to the core. Ellen and Tim Graham, Kelli's parents, they trusted Ronnie Wellborn, considered him a friend even. Finding out he was behind their daughter's death, it nearly broke them. What really got to them, though, was learning that Ronnie had helped plan Kelli's funeral. He'd stood there with them, grieving, all the while knowing he was the reason she was gone. The kind of evil that it takes. It's hard to comprehend. And Kelli's kids, well, they lost more than just their mom that day. They lost their sense of security, their trust in the world. Growing up without their mother, knowing how she was taken from them, it's a wound they'll never fully heal. The whole story serves as a reminder that sometimes the greatest dangers come from the people we think we can trust. Kelli Underwood, she wasn't perfect. She'd made her share of mistakes, got mixed up with the wrong people, but she didn't deserve what happened to her. Nobody does. Kelli Underwood's story is a tragedy, a cautionary tale about trust, about the darkness that can lurk in the hearts of people we think we know. It's a reminder that life is precious, and that we should hold on to our loved ones close while we can. In the end, that's how those who knew her best choose to remember Kelli Underwood, not as a victim, but as a survivor, a woman who faced more than her fair share of hardships, but never let them break her spirit. A mother who loved fiercely and without reservation. A friend whose laugh could chase away the gloomiest of days.